Hey, what's going on, guys? So it's John with Just Thoughts. Thank you for stopping by the channel. So the last video got a pretty good response, so I figured I'd make another video to kind of describe what I think is happening on a societal level, to give people like perspective on from somebody that is just an average citizen trying to figure out life and trying to have an understanding of the world around him, right? So yeah, I think I'm gonna start in the area that the majority of people kind of have missed out on. So right now, what I think is something that we should start paying attention to is mainly like this idealism that's currently separating society into two different factions, right? So the first faction would be the people that had opportunities and had resources from a young age, right? And then the other portion would be those that didn't have the opportunities and the resources that they would need so that they can be successful, right? And when you have those kind of situations happening, most people envision that the way that we would be able to create change is by enacting policy, enacting legislation that's best used by the public so that they can make sure that the peoples whose voices haven't been heard have an opportunity, right? And that's extremely important, right? And a lot of people have mentioned that the majority of the political activists that we have throughout not only the United States but just on a global level have really been able to create a lot of change and a lot of diversity. And especially here in 2021, there's a lot of new pathways for us to be able to use that give us ample opportunity to be able to create change, right? And I think it's so crucial that we examine how these systems have functioned in the past and use the sociology that we've been able to develop so that it can have a better way for us to be able to use as a tool, right? So a lot of people have mentioned like one of the interesting parts about how our society functions here in the 21st century is the fact that we have access to like thousands of different tools such as the internet that give us a tremendous amount of information in correlation to some ancient societies, right? Like there was a point in time where things like the Silk Road, I think it was called. It was a traveling road that a significant portion of the world were able to sell items, sell merchandise that were valuable at that point in time, right? And in the 21st century, we have access to not only the internet, but we have access to like imagine if we had the internet and then we had a way of being able to facilitate the internet and be able to send information at an even faster pace. Like one of the interesting parts that I think like technology is being able to create is the decentralization of information. Like a lot of people have like enjoy this idea of having a decentralized world, and the invention of new financial assets have been able to create this popularity amongst the decentralized ecosphere, right? And that's a niche that a lot of people have become interested in due to the fact that like people have acknowledged that sometimes what happens throughout our governmental agencies is they create inhibitory like type situations that kind of make it difficult to get things passed, right? There's a stagnation or stasis that often happens throughout our political system, and when you have those kind of situations happening, what the majority of people try to do is to do their best at being able to explain information thoroughly enough so that the average citizen has an understanding of what's going on, what we should prepare for, how situations in the past have been able to create change towards how we see the future, right? And if you take that away from people, what ends up happening is that people become relatively restless due to the fact that the difficulties aren't being expanded upon, aren't being acknowledged, and through technological processes, I think that we're going to create a better environment for people to be able to experience the joys of life. And often the hardship and the difficulty that isn't seen is often due to the fact that it's disguised in different manners, right? Throughout the United States, throughout humanity in general, I think the best way to understand or have an internal feeling that's able to be felt and empathized with is by us explaining and trying our best to embody the hardships that other people have to feel so that we can try to create change. And when we have those situations, what I think that the one of the good parts that I think technology does is being able to get information that a lot of people really wouldn't be able to have unless the internet had been created. Right now, I think that we're on society, a higher level of society and a functionality that we can appreciate due to the fact that this has been able to, as I mentioned, democratize or decentralize not only things like freedom of speech but freedom of choice and options. From my perspective, like, I don't necessarily think that our society should be functioning on something such as a fiat currency. I think that we currently live in a post-work, post-capitalism, post-artificial scarcity world. And the best way to kind of understand that, the majority of the problems that humanity has had to face have already been taken care of. The majority of the problems that we are seeing throughout our society are actually being created due to I think human variability, or the inability to be able to account for different factors in life, right? Um, Finances, money, the idea of currency, I think is an aged tool. It's kind of archaic in a sense due to the fact that our means and modes and mediums of exchanges are progressively changing, and right now we're functioning on this, super primitive, super archaic style. And what I think is going to end up happening is that the majority of people are going to kind of become aware of this, of the fact that the majority of the infrastructure that we've been able to create are mainly due to the fact that a lot of the structures benefit one group of the population, right? There's a satiation that usually happens when people are able to have one situation where you can benefit from, and another, population, another group that doesn't necessarily have the opportunity to be able to benefit from, right? Throughout history, we've seen thousands of different situations where technological processes and technological progression have been able to create a select group that basically have tools and assets that another group doesn't have. And what that does is it gives them a leg up. It gives them, a superiority mindset, or a complex. And I think that's something that's it's not being lost necessarily, but it's becoming non-functional, right? In the society that I see in the future, what I think is going to end up happening is that we're going to have a situation where we stop envisioning this idea of social structures and social hierarchies and different strata of success, of joy, of happiness, and we're going to enter more of an era of peace, of equality, and when you have those kind of situations coming in the future, what I think happens is that the majority of the people that are in positions of power try their best to be able to constrain as much of that power as they can, right? Like, there's usually throughout history and society, there's something that you're supposed to be passing down to another group of the population. There's something that you're supposed to be trying your best to be able to impart to other people, so that they have an opportunity to be able to step into the shoes of the people that have basically have had the majority of the power and the resources, and use that power and resource to create positive, good change, right? And that's what I think is currently happening. We're entering in basically an era where I think it's going to be extremely important for us to acknowledge the youth, the young people that really have the ability to create change, and do our best to be able to direct resources, direct attention, direct not only finances, but just a new foundational structure, so that they have an opportunity to be able to fill those shoes. On that same idea about this archaic structure that we've been using for thousands of years, I think that it's momentary. I think that the majority of people are going to start acknowledging that it's not good for the majority of the population, and that's just, you know, a part of the information that I think would be crucial for us to start talking more about, for us to start having open conversation with people that might have different views, different perspectives on how we can change some of these systems. A post work, post artificial scarcity. That's the world that I would like to live in, post capitalism. If you like that information, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. I really look forward to being able to speak more with you.